I want to start things off by asking, who are you?
I'm Aryan. I'm 17 years old. I live in India and I make art and stuff all day. So
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Yeah.
Can you tell me what got you into art and maybe graphic design?
Yeah. So when I was in like grade six, I used to be a lot into photography and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I just gotten like my first DSLR. So I would just like take it everywhere with me wherever I went. And I would just click like random photos of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, like as I got older, like obviously the quality of my photos improved,
Yeah,
and I
of course.
also started learning how to like edit them, and I started using softwares like Lightroom and Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
So when I like started using Photoshop more, I got more interested towards the basic like mechanics of that because at that time I was fascinated by what all you could do with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Photoshop is like a really powerful software, and I was just getting into that um, around when I was in like grade 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I actually started using it, and I think one thing led to another, and I moved more towards like Photoshop and photo manipulation. So that's where it started, and then I basically just worked on it for all these years,
Mm-hmm.
and then I developed my drawing skills um, and everything. So yeah.
Uh, you told me about your starting off with photography, working on Photoshop, with manipulation and all of that.
Mhm.
Can you tell me who was or maybe still is your inspiration for your work?
For my art, I would say the biggest inspiration is Basquiat, the artist,
Mm-hmm.
because like you look at his work, it's not something which is subtle, like it just strikes you right in your face.
Like
It's very
of it?
bold. Sorry?
The messiness of it with the scribbles, the characters that don't respect the
Yeah, yeah,
proportions.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very boundary pushing.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something different, something new,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
every different piece that he has. So, and one more thing is about how he uses colors and everything, because it's just something which just strikes you as
Yeah.
soon as you look at it. Like you don't have to look twice. You might have to look twice to understand the meaning behind it all because it has some very deep symbolisms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like the basic gist of it, you get that as soon as you like look at it.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool.
Well, you told me that your inspiration is Basquiat mostly. Can you
hmm
tell me how would you define your style since he is your inspiration? Does that affect your style in any way?
Yeah, I would say it does affect my style a lot because I wouldn't like restrict myself to a certain style as of now because like I'm still developing it every day.
Yeah, yeah.
But um like the basis of his work was also like evolution and
Mm-hmm.
themes around that, anarchy, rebellion, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So sure, I do try to like incorporate all those things to some extent in my work.
Yeah.
Um and I have a few pieces that I've done in the past which are in which you'll see the Basquiat influence, like which is really heavy in those pieces, like
Mm-hmm.
the Fallen Monarch piece that I did.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, like there was a phase when I tried to like replicate his style, but then as I started like like working more on my art, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's at this point it's just evolving and it's something new every time with
Yeah,
every piece.
yeah. Well, what would be your favorite design or piece you made?
Um, in recent years, I would say definitely the Fallen Monarch ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like that has to be one of my favorite because that was my one of my first like proper explorations into that kind of a style.
Yeah, yeah.
Because before that, I had been doing illustrations, but on a very basic level.
Mm-hmm.
But with that piece, I feel like I actually like understood what I'm trying to do with my work or where I'm trying to go with my art style as such.
Yeah, yeah, got it.
So I would say it's that, yeah.
Well, you told me about the style and the Fallen Monarch piece, and
Hmm.
your inspiration being Basquiat. Well, now I want to ask you about the recent post, mainly the style you approached on your on your recent post. What
Yeah.
was the inspiration behind those? Were you inspired by somebody for that style?
I mean, the leaking out of the eye thing, I've seen it. Like, I'm not saying it's never been done before. Like, it's definitely something that you might have like seen in other artists' work as well.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to do with that is everybody that I draw, it's basically just artists and stuff, right? So I'm trying to capture their essence as a person and as an artist. And to me personally, when I draw those, um, you can call it smoke or you can call it
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
But like when I'm drawing that in my mind, I'm thinking about how, like, these artists or these celebrities or whatever, they're pretty closed off from society, right?
yeah, yeah.
To some extent.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know what's going on with their lives. You don't know what they're doing and stuff,
Yeah.
um, by themselves. So, um, I think this I thing is just something which is inspired by, like, I thought, what must go on inside their head, or there's
Yeah,
all these like great artists and stuff.
like a sort of
Yeah,
portal into their mind and thoughts
yeah,
and all of
it's
that.
it's yeah. You can translate it as it's a part of their creative process that's
Mm-hmm.
leaking out of their eyes.
Yeah.
So only that part which you can see coming out of their eyes is something which they want to show to the like people as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole lot of that stuffed inside their head, which we'll probably never get to know about, like how they think, how they come
Of
up with
course. Yeah.
ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Well, recently you posted on your stories that you were selected on the 23 album by Central Cee, like you are going to be featured on
Mhm.
the booklet. Can you tell me how does that make you feel, or how did it make you feel when you got the news that you were featured, or you are going to be featured there?
At first, it was pretty like overwhelming when I got like the message
Mm-hmm.
that, your art has been selected and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Because to be honest, like when I made that piece, um, I like made it and posted it, and after that, I saw what other artists were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw other people's work also for that same like competition thing.
Yeah, 'cause you were
And
curious as to how others
yeah,
will approach that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was pretty like overwhelmed just to look at the quality of work that everybody in this design industry is producing.
Mm-hmm.
It was like as a competitor, as somebody who's competing against them, obviously it was overwhelming. But then again, as like a fellow designer or as somebody who's also in the industry, it was also like really inspirational to see
Mm-hmm.
because all these people coming up with all these like different cool ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did you expect to be featured? Like in your mind, were you like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be featured? Well, did
Uh,
you have that confidence in you in any way?
I mean, to some extent I did, but it wasn't that kind of like arrogance, that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm definitely going to be selected in
Yeah,
this.
like you weren't
It was,
cocky about it, or
yeah, 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 yeah. It was more of a self-belief thing.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, got it. Well, lastly, I want to ask you, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to beginner designers?
Um, the biggest piece of advice I would give to somebody who's just starting out, especially like when people start out and they start posting their work on social media and Instagram and stuff. What a lot of people do is they get like demotivated when
Mm-hmm.
they're not getting the following that they think they deserve. when they're just starting out.
Yeah, they are
But
focusing on numbers more.
yeah, they focus on numbers and they let those numbers go to their heads, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting these many likes, so I'm not good enough
Yeah.
or stuff like that. So it's really bad for your mental health as well. So
Yeah.
I would just say don't focus on stuff like that, because if your art is organic and you really have something different to your art, the audience like would not be a problem. They'll come to you eventually as more and
Yeah.
more people
Exactly.
um,
Exactly.
discover your work.
Yeah.
And another thing I would like to say is that as somebody who's starting out, you need to be involved in your community.
True.
You
True. Yes.
you need to talk to your peers, you need to talk to other designers, other people who are doing the same things as you.
Mm-hmm.
Because first of all, you get to make contacts, and contacts go like a really long way in the industry. And another thing is that you get motivated looking at other people. They
Of
tell you
course.
their
Yeah.
story, they tell you their processes, how they think, stuff like that. So it really like gets you going.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yep.
the part with the numbers, people
Hmm.
want that instant gratification, that comes with having big numbers. Because
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
think that would motivate somebody. I think it's just a thing about instant gratification and
Hmm.
validation it gets you in the moment. Like when you have 1K likes on a post or 1K followers, you feel a certain way. You feel bigger. You feel like a
Yeah.
better designer when in reality that might not be the case. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, bro. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're good, the audience will come to you anyway. There's
Of course.
no
Yeah. Exactly.